All right, you guys, today we're going to be talking about the metrics in UpHex. We're going to use those metrics to create the best product that you can possibly build for your customer. Now it's time to optimize those ads to make your product the best on the market. We're going to get really comfortable with the metrics over here in UpHex and understanding each one of these numbers and what they mean, as well as what needs to get adjusted on your ad to optimize your product. So what can we do with metrics? The goal again, create a bulletproof library of solid ads. We're going to use the metrics minimums to understand how well your ads are doing and if they're meeting that minimum criteria. And we're also going to show you what you need to adjust if your metrics are not meeting those metric minimums. Good metrics over time, that's going to give you predictability and confidence in your product. So let's begin. We're going to start with Optimization Rules 101. Before you even jump into starting to adjust your ads, you need to check these couple of things to make sure that's actually the problem, okay? So this is step one. If your ads are struggling, start here. So the first thing that you need to understand is Facebook fluctuates every single day. Please take the averages over time or you will drive yourself crazy. I have had people who have told me, I think my ad is doing horrible. We'll take a look at it and it's only spent $50. That's not enough time, okay? You need to give it time. And one of the reasons is because of that first point, Facebook fluctuates every day. I can get one lead one day. The next day I'll get 0 leads. The next day I'll get 3 leads. The next day I'll get 2 leads. I see that all the time. So do yourself a favor and make sure that you take averages over time. And the best practices for that is at least 3,000 impressions. That is the minimum. But the best is 7,000 impressions. You'll notice that when you come into UpHex and you come into client metrics, a couple of things take place. The first thing is, by default, we're going to open up your viewing window to 7 days. And that's because, again, you want that average of time to show you how your data is actually doing. The more data you have, the more accurate you're going to see what's going on. You'll notice here under impressions, this is the metric that we're talking about. So this is 6,000 impressions. That's not enough for the best metric, but it's enough for the minimum. So we could see and start to evaluate the rest of these numbers to see how they're doing. Okay, that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, you are in phase 1 of building your ad product. Do not monitor your ads every single day. Make sure that your ads get off the ground. Make sure that leads are coming in. Once you have confidence that everything's working, then you're going to monitor your active ads 2 times a week. We recommend picking Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Friday. It's the most amount of time between those that give your ads time to get the details and get the data that they need. When an adjustment has been made, be patient. Again, when you make an adjustment to your ad, don't check the next day to see how it's doing. Give it at least 3,000 impressions, or the best, if your clients can wait, is 7,000 impressions, okay? And this is going to give you a better idea on how that adjustment is doing. The reason for this, you guys, is because the Facebook AI takes time to learn your audience. Make sure that once you make an adjustment, you are giving it enough time to figure things out. If not, you're just running around in circles making adjustments. A few more rules for you guys. Make sure there is enough ad spend. If your ads are struggling, the next thing you want to check is there enough ad spend? Your ad spend budget, if you're not sure what that should be, is going to be how much your CPM is. Now, unfortunately, CPM is one of those metrics that isn't going to be the same for everyone. So we can't tell you $40 is your budget, $10 is your budget, right? Over time, you'll get a better sense of what your CPM is. starting out, once you see your ads running, you can come in here and look at the average CPM at the very bottom of your screen. So for us, $28 would be the average CPM. I would tell our customers don't spend less than $30 a day, and that's how we would figure out that number. However, since you're starting out, you don't have this information. One resource that's available to you, if you have a Google ad account, that you can start to research this and get an idea of where your numbers would fall. So I'm going to have Jacob show you how to do that really quick, but you will have to have a Google ad account. It's really simple to set up. Set one up if you don't have one, and then use this as a tool to figure out what your CPM is.
So I wanted to show you how you can determine what a daily budget should be for a brand new client. Let's say, you've never done marketing for them before and you're just trying to figure out what should their daily budget be. There is a method that you can do utilizing Google AdWords in order to kind of guess what your Facebook budget should be. Ultimately, your Facebook daily budget should be determined by whatever your CPM costs are. So your minimum budget should always be at least whatever your CPM cost is. And then, of course, how many leads per day does this client want? If this client wants 2 leads per day and you can get leads for $20 a day, well, then that means your daily budget should be 40 and, so on and so forth, right? So, but this is if you have no idea whatsoever what the starting point should even be. This is how you can kind of get a good guesstimate, right? And then, of course, dial in your budgets accordingly once you actually have the CPM and conversion data back. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into your Google AdWords account and you're going to go to Tools, and then you're going to go to Planning, and then you're going to go to Keyword Planner, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to get Discover. You could either do Discover New Keywords or get Search Volume and Forecast. I like doing Discover New Keywords because it's going to take whatever keyword phrase you look, and then it's also going to pull up similar ones. So it just kind of gives you an idea of what the general gist of the market is. And so let's say we're going to be doing something with asphalt paving, right? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put that in here. And it's going to give you kind of an idea of what the bids are going for. And what you're going to see here in just a second is you have the top of page bid low range, the top of page bid high range, and then you've got, search impressions and all of that other kind of stuff, right? So if you wanted to do asphalt driveway, right? So you look here, we've got the asphalt driveway paving near me, asphalt paving near me, right? I like to take the top of bid, page bid, high range number. And the reason why I always like to take the high range is it's the one that's going to give you the most buffer on things, because we never want to underfund a campaign. It's better to overfund a campaign and then be able to dial ad spend back because you don't need it than it is to underfund and then go to a client and say, hey, Mr. Client, can you please give me more money? Right. So I always like to go with the top of bid, high range. And what you're going to do is you're going to look at the numbers here, and we can basically, just taking a quick little glance here, the average looks to be floating somewhere around $10, right? So we've got some 8, 6, 8, and 8, and 6 in here. We've got some 15s, we've got some 12s kind of floating around in here. So if I was to say, $10, $11 is probably the average. From there, you want to multiply the budget, whatever that click number is, you want to multiply that by 3 or 4. Now, this is where you're going to kind of use your judgment on this, right? If you've got a high ticket product, you're going to want to multiply by 4 because it's going to take more money to get a lead typically. If you've got a low budget item or something that's, super easy to claim, multiply by 3 because you're probably going to be able to get more leads at a cheaper cost, right? So just kind of use your judgment on which number you should be going for here. And in this case, right, if we take an $11 budget and we multiply by 4, you're looking at basically a $45 a day budget. Always round up to the nearest 0 or 5, in my opinion. You're basically going to be looking at a $45 budget for asphalt paving, right? And then let's say you're going to do something along the lines of life insurance, right? So if we do life insurance here, so we can go ahead and put that in there, you can see that's a much more competitive space, right? So you can see our top of page bids are much, much higher. It's much more competitive. It's also going to cost more per lead on Facebook as well, because again, not everybody's going to be looking for life insurance. So you're going to end up spending more money in order to find that right audience. So if we kind of take a look here, we've got some 20s, we've got some 30s, we've got some 12s. I'm sure if we averaged it all out, we're probably looking somewhere in the $20 range. I'm going to go ahead and just average it out to like 25 bucks per. I'll multiply that by 3. We're looking at $75 a day would be the recommended budget for something like a life insurance company. So thanks, everybody.
The next thing you would check if your ads are struggling is to look and see if there is a runaway image. So what I mean by checking to see if there's a runaway image is in UpHex under Client Metrics, you can find your customer and you can open up this little chevron and you can see all the ads they're running. But even better, you can open up that chevron one more time and you can see which images are being tested in that ad. And you can say, okay, this one is elevated, and this isn't a terrible cost, but it's definitely higher than this. That could be a reason why your ad is not doing well. So an easy fix is just to go in and turn that image off, okay? Now, another rule is, has the ad been running for a long time? And as it was running, did it, for the most part, do pretty well? Over time, Facebook's algorithm fatigues. And so what you get is that it just starts to sort of slow down. And there's a couple of things that you can do. The first thing is refresh the ad. Now, UpHex makes that very simple for you guys. There is this little button right here. And if you select that button, it refreshes the ad, confirm refresh on this campaign. And what this does is it pushes out your location by a mile, or it pushes up your budget by $1. What that does, it's a very subtle, easy way to essentially throw your campaign back into learning mode. And that wakes up the algorithm and it turns it back on, turns that engine back on, and it will start to find your leads again for you. So that's a really easy way to optimize a campaign. The next is relaunch it. So if you know the ad has been doing well, sometimes it just needs a relaunch. Go ahead and turn that ad off. You can do that in UpHex just by turning off this blue dial. Go back to this client. You can do it in UpHex or you can do it in Go High Level and relaunch that same campaign. Give it 3,000 impressions. Most of the time, it gets right back on track. Now, the last thing you can do is rest it, of course. So if you've been running it for a long time and you feel like, okay, we relaunched it and it's just not taking off, turn it off and turn on another variation. One of the things that we really loved doing was we created a sciatica picture offer, and then we would also create the same exact offer, but we would turn it into a video. So we had 2 different ads for the same exact offer. The only difference was one was a video and one was an image. And we could bounce back and forth between those offers for customers. It just gave it a little bit of freshness for their area, and that worked out great. We, of course, had other offers. We had knee decompression and we had neuropathy. Those were our top 3 offers. So we could bounce between those 3 as well and give them a rest. Now, on this note, really quick, I have had people ask, well, how long can you run an ad for? You can run it for as long as it will go. We had clients who ran offers for a solid 9 to 10 months with just refreshing it here and there without relaunching, without resting, and it did great. So you go for as long as it will let you go, or as long as your client is happy with the result. All right, so there's one more rule, and this has more to do with the next steps of figuring out your metrics, is make sure if you have multiple metrics that are not correct, that are off, only fix one at a time, give it that 3,000 impressions, and then go back and see how it has affected the rest of your metrics. The reason that you do this is, let's say there was an issue with the CTR all. That's going to essentially be the first metric that people go through. So let's say this was low, and let's say your conversion rate and your link click-through rate were low. Well, if this one is fixed, fixing the issue here might fix it for the rest of these things, okay? There may have been a congruency issue that you had fixed, or maybe there was an offer issue that you had fixed. If you start to fix this and this and this all at the same time, it's not going to help you narrow down where the problem was. So fix one thing at a time, give it those 3,000 impressions, let it flesh out to see how the metrics stack up after the fix. Also, this will help you see what action you took was effective, which will help you learn how to improve your system better off in the future. Also, for part of this is there is a specific order in fixing your metrics. So, and it's in this order right here. If you have issues, you're first going to start with your CTR. If that has issues, you're going to fix that first. If it's fine, then you're going to move on to your click-through rate link. If that has issues, you're going to fix it and you're going to wait. But if that one's fine, you're going to go to your conversion rate. You're going to fix that. And again, you're going to wait. If that one is fine, then we're going to ultimately go to your CPMs. And we'll talk about this one. This one has a bit more nuance. But that is the rule, okay? Fix one metric at a time. Give it time to see how it affects the rest of them. And then move on from there. So what should my metrics minimums be? Let's get into it. There are 4 main metrics that you're going to be checking. Metric number 1 is your click-through rate all link, okay? And in UpHex, it looks just like this. You're going to see CTR all. And what this is this is the percentage of people that stop and look at your ad, that actually click on the comments, that click on the ad copy to read more. And to show you an example of what we're talking about here, so I'm on my Facebook feed and I'm scrolling through and I see this image and I pause. And then I click see more, right? This is what I mean by opening that up and reading more. I'm interacting, I'm clicking on things, but I haven't really taken the next step. Maybe I have commented or looked through the comments, right? So that would be the click-through rate all link. This should be 1% or higher. And you can see here, this is 3%. So that click-through rate all link is just fine. If it's below 1%, these are the things you need to fix. The image, that is number 1. Is the image captivating enough? Is it stopping people? Is it speaking to a specific audience? This image is about neuropathy. It's about nerve pain in the feet. So the image is showcasing that, right? And the text overlay, discover how to end nerve pain naturally, that is speaking to a very specific audience. So make sure your image is clear. That's something you can fix. Text overlay, is the text overlay clear enough? Is it too wordy? Is it grabbing people? Is it compelling people to stop? The offer itself. So you'll notice that part of this click-through rate all is me actually reading through this ad copy. Is the offer compelling? Is the image consistent with what the words are saying here, right? Is the image consistent with what's being said in the actual copy here? Is the offer good? Does it look spammy? Does it look too click? Is it turning people off? Is it turning people away? And finally, is there enough interest in what you're actually promoting? Is there enough interest in what is actually being shown here? The next is click-through rate link. And you can see that here, CTR link. And this is the percentage of people that actually move to that next step. So if you remember, ours said learn more, yours might say something else. But if I go back to our ad here, if I'm interested in this, I'm going to select this learn more button. And that's what the link click-through rate is, okay? Now, the link click-through rate should also be 1% or higher as well. If that is below 1%, this is what you need to fix, the offer. Is the offer good enough that people want to claim it? Does the image match the offer? So you'll notice I've got this account right here where if I scroll this up so you can see this, the click-through rate all is 1.41%. That's great. But the link click-through rate is under that 1% mark. So why? if I open this link up here in a new tab, we can check this out and we can look at the image first, right? And the image says medical skinny shot. And these ones say a couple more things, but we'll just stick with this for an example. If I'm looking through Facebook and I see medical skinny shot, in my mind, I might be thinking, oh, okay, maybe they have discounts on medical skinny shots. But when I read through the actual body of the text, I can see that it's for a free consultation right here. And maybe that's just not a good enough offer. Or maybe I feel like this image was a little misleading, making me think that, oh, okay, medical skinny shot, I could get that for one shot for a price or something, right? Is it spammy? When people actually read through the body, the text, does that sound spammy? Or is it not clear enough? Is the offer clear? Do I understand what I'd be claiming when I'm claiming this offer through this ad, right? Is that clear? Is there enough interest in that offer that we're doing? And we talked about this a little bit before, but is the call to action clear enough? Is the text clear enough? Is the offer clear enough? If not, those would be the things that you would fix. They're not moving forward to the next step because there's something in the ad copy, which is this information right here. And the image is going to be a part of that to make them not want to learn more. All right, metric number 3 is conversion rate. This metric is the percentage of people that give you their information. So if we go back to our ad here, we're going through, we hit learn more, we answer this question, we hit continue, we fill out our information, we hit continue and we submit. That is what conversion rate means. The metric for this should be 10% or higher. Okay, so 10% is the minimum. If it's below 10%, these are the things you need to fix. Is there something on the lead gen form that is preventing people from wanting to continue, right? Maybe it looks really, really spammy. Maybe there's too many barriers. I have seen people put tons of questions on their lead gen form. Don't put too many questions on there. If you want to put questions on, I would not ask for many questions because that's going to cause too many barriers and people at that point will be, forget it. Some people think, well, this is a great way to qualify people and it can be a tool for that. Just use it very carefully. And if every other metric is doing great and your conversion rate is really low, check to see maybe I need to edit my questions here and not have so many or have zero. We honestly didn't put any questions on ours other than name, email, and phone, and that worked fine for ours. Is it congruent? So from start to finish, did everything seem congruent, right? They're going to take that into consideration at this point in the game. If people are moving along the process, maybe they just kind of want to see how it unfolds. So is the offer congruent from point A, the image, the ad copy, the questions if you have any, the actual lead gen? And you can see here when I hit learn more, this is part of the conversion. So it's telling me a little bit more about the workshop. This step is optional, by the way, you guys, but it is telling me about the workshop. I do have one question, how many people will be attending? And then this obviously, there's not a whole lot here that you can do other than, and then this is collecting my information. What am I saying up here? Do people feel safe? I'm hitting continue. What is my privacy policy saying? Right, those would be the things to keep in mind when thinking about what you need to fix here. And then again, is the offer good? All right, guys, the fourth metric that you're going to be monitoring as you figure out what's going on with your offer is called CPM, cost per milli. But basically, this is how much Facebook charges to show your ad to 1,000 people. So you can see down here at the bottom, the CPM for this customer would be $32. So Facebook's going to charge us $32 to show our ad to every 1,000 people that come through. Now, this number is going to vary. There is no, it has to be this minimum or it has to be this maximum. And that's because this number is set by Facebook. This is how much they decide to charge you. What they use to decide is how much interest is in that subject matter, right? So if we're talking about weight loss, how much interest is there in weight loss or in semaglutide? What is the competition like? What time of year is it? I know that sounds a little odd, but we saw trends during Christmas where our CPMs would be higher. Facebook would charge us more during Christmas to show ads because the market gets so flooded with Black Friday deals and all these things that are trying to get consumers to purchase their things during the holidays. When it's election time, sometimes that can affect the CPM, right? The engagement of your ads, the more engagement you have, the lower the CPM that Facebook is going to put on there. Now, if your CPMs are high, the fix is it's not as straightforward as the rest of the fixes have been. But one thing that you can do is make your audience size bigger. So you need to make sure that you have at least 100,000 people in your audience size. Whenever I'm doing an onboarding call, since it's the first time they launch that ad, and since we already have all their Facebook assets up, once the ad has been launched, I'll go into the ad that I want on. We'll pretend this would be on, right? This is my dummy account. But I would select edit on the ad that we just launched. And when I go here, I'm going to see my estimated audience size, okay? And I just need to make sure that this is 100,000 people, okay? And if it's not, then I'll scroll down until I see my area that I'm targeting. I can open this up and we can start to play with this a little bit more. Maybe I'll open my diameter up a little bit more. This is in miles. I don't know why right now it's doing kilometers. But then you will know once you get the desired audience size after that onboarding call, just put a note on their account and let them know, hey, it looks like 15 miles is the best radius for you when you launch in the future. Or I'm going to put a note on your account that says, we're going to launch your ads at 15-mile radius, right? So that way I already know that this is taken care of. And also, one of the main reasons for that is the Facebook algorithm needs data to find your clients' leads, okay? So it best optimizes with at least 100,000 people in your audience size. So you can make that bigger if you would like. The next thing you can do is broaden your audience. So a lot of times people on Facebook, they put a lot of targeting details. And you'll notice if I go to detailed targeting here, let me just add in some details and take note of my audience size here. I'm going to browse demographics. And let's say I'm just going to pick the top 10% of household income. And you'll notice that when I do that, wow, it drastically drops my audience size. And obviously there are other interests or behaviors that you can put on here. So let's say interests, hobbies and activities. They really like travel. And I'll just select, those. So again, that's going to minimize how many people I'm actually trying to target. So make sure that your detailed targeting isn't too fine-tuned. Since you guys have gone through the process of researching your client, figuring out what your sub niche is, and then creating an ad that shows that really well, you really won't need this detailed targeting. If you're doing it right, you won't need this detailed targeting. And that's because the Facebook AI actually reads your image, it reads your ad copy, and it uses that information to find the leads that you're looking for. We actually hardly ever put in detailed targeting because that information alone would find the right people for us. The next thing that you can do to help your CPM costs is try to make your ads a little bit more engaging. What can you do to get more clicks, comments, likes, shares, and this will lower your CPM. Just be careful because this can potentially start to scare people away, right? You need to find that balance of quality versus quantity. And if your ads are very clickbaity, then that's going to potentially affect the quality of your leads. So just be really careful when you're considering that. One other fix is relaunch and hope. Sometimes when you relaunch an ad, Facebook's CPMs change because they don't have this is how much we're charging for this offer, right? So sometimes if that was the only thing that was elevating our ad, we would just relaunch the ad and hope that it was a little bit lower. Sometimes this would fix it and sometimes it wouldn't. All right. So if all of those numbers look good, and CPM really doesn't have a look good number, but if your click-through rate link, and your conversion rates look good, then this is how much your leads cost. I know that this has been a big question on a lot of people's mind is, what is my average cost per lead in my industry? And this is the last metric, CPA, cost per acquisition. And we really want you guys to be careful not to base all of your decisions on this CPA. And that is because in phase one, when you're figuring out how to fine tune your offers, what your actual cost per acquisition is because of the rest of these metrics, then you don't have a good sense of what this is until all of that is fine tuned. Okay. So CPA, AKA cost per lead. And again, this varies just depending on your niche. For example, for our chiropractic leads, the average niche was $30 a lead. Okay. So, but we took time to figure that out. Construction, we see an average being $80 a lead, right? That doesn't mean, and that could be, that's obviously a very broad niche right there, construction, but we've seen those be as high as $80 a lead. If you're in construction, it doesn't mean that's the one, you guys, but I'm just giving you examples of what we've seen. Window washing, we've seen $10 be the average on lead costs. So that's what we mean by your lead cost is going to vary depending on those four metrics: CTR, all, click-through rate, link, conversion rate, and CPM. But the thing that you guys need to just be really vigilant on is making sure that that your click-through rate, all, link, and conversion rate are at least those minimum metrics. If you're doing that, you're doing everything you can to get your ad library to be that bulletproof ad library that we're talking about and to get that good product. So again, just to reiterate, the CPA is a reflection of all of these beforehand. The only fix all previous metrics. If you feel like your cost per lead or cost per acquisition is too high, that's not what you need to be focusing on. You need to be focusing on how can we fix these things to make our ad do better. Last thing I want to show you guys is resources on how to get help with this. One of the best things that you can do if you need help optimizing your Facebook ads is in your UpHex account, go to your daily classes and go to this Wednesday, 1 p.m. Central, optimize and build Facebook ads. Alex, all day long, that's what he does, is looks at metrics, figures out what's wrong with ads. If you have any questions, he is a great resource for that. If you are not able to attend those, then what you can do is request a recording of them, and watching him update those ads is going to help you understand what you can do for yourself. So open up the chat, hit contact support, and ask them for the recording. In summary, you guys, so we talked about how to optimize your ad library and your clients' ads, what your metric minimums should be in order to help you do that, how to fix your ads if they're below the minimums that we recommend, and then just a few other factors in your ad performance with the CPMs. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Let us know if you have any questions.